shit. Oh, du Sündmann.
There is a place on Earth where no one can reach you. You look around, nothing but water in every direction. No ships, no land, no birds in the sky. The closest human beings to you, they're not even on Earth. They're astronauts on the International Space Station orbiting 400 kilometers above your head. Welcome to Point Nemo, the most isolated, terrifying, and mysterious location on our entire planet. And today, you're going to discover why almost nobody dares to go there, and what happens to those who do. But before we dive into the abyss, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because this channel brings you the most fascinating mysteries our world has to offer. Point Nemo isn't an island. It's not a reef or a rock. It's literally just a spot in the ocean, but not just any spot. Located at exactly 48 degrees, 52.6 minutes south latitude and 123 degrees, 23.6 minutes west longitude, this point sits in the South Pacific Ocean, 2,688 kilometers away from any piece of land. To put that in perspective, that's like the distance from New York to Houston, but instead of cities and highways, there's absolutely nothing, just endless, cold, dark water. The name Point Nemo comes from Latin, meaning no one. It's also a tribute to Captain Nemo from Jules Verne's famous novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. How fitting for a place where no one goes, no one lives, and where you truly become no one. Here's the truly spine-chilling part. The three closest pieces of land to Point Nemo are Ducie Island in the Pitcairn Islands to the north, Motunui near Easter Island to the northeast, and Mahar Island in Antarctica to the south. And guess what? All three are completely uninhabited. The nearest civilization with actual people, over 3,000 kilometers away. Point Nemo wasn't even officially discovered until 1992, when a Croatian-Canadian engineer named Hrvoje Lukatela used a sophisticated computer program to calculate the exact coordinates. He figured out that since Earth is three-dimensional, the most remote ocean point must be equidistant from three different coastlines. He never even went there himself. He just calculated it from his desk. Nobody knew the death zone would be discovered like this. Point Nemo is one of the most hostile places on Earth. Located in the nutrient-starved South Pacific Gyre, it's an oceanic desert with almost no marine life, no nutrients, no phytoplankton, no fish. Its eerily clear water signals lifelessness, not purity. The area lies in the violent, screaming 60s, where uninterrupted winds create massive storms, 50-foot waves, freezing 7 to 10 degrees Celsius waters, and deadly hypothermia within minutes. Because rescue is nearly impossible, both ships and aircraft avoid Point Nemo entirely. Any emergency here is likely fatal. But there's a group of people who know how to use this dead zone. Here's the twisted irony. While everyone avoids Point Nemo, one group deliberately targets it. Space agencies from around the world use Point Nemo as their cosmic graveyard. When satellites, space stations, and rocket stages reach the end of their lives, they can't just be left floating in orbit. That would contribute to the growing catastrophe of space junk threatening active satellites. Instead, agencies use whatever fuel remains to guide these massive machines into a controlled crash landing. And where do they aim? Right at Point Nemo. Only the largest spacecraft make it to splashdown. Smaller satellites burn up completely during re-entry, disintegrating into nothing as they hit Earth's atmosphere at 17,500 miles per hour. But the big ones, space stations, cargo vessels, massive rocket boosters, they survive the journey. They break apart into thousands of pieces that scatter across the seafloor over a vast region spanning millions of square kilometers. Between 1971 and 2016, over 260 spacecraft met their final fate at Point Nemo. The most famous? Russia's Mir space station, 165 tons of humanity's greatest space achievement, was deliberately crashed here in 2001 after 15 years orbiting Earth. Witnesses described it as a spectacular fireworks display as it broke apart, raining debris across hundreds of square miles. Also resting in these dark depths, 140 Russian resupply vehicles, several European Space Agency cargo ships, Japan's HTV spacecraft, and other modern commercial rockets, and countless classified satellites containing technology and experiments we'll never know about. And the most shocking part? The International Space Station is scheduled to join them. NASA plans to crash the ISS into Point Nemo around 2030. That's a 420-ton laboratory the size of a football field, falling from space into these isolated waters. Point Nemo is not only lonely, but is also one of the most mysterious places in the world. The bloop is one of the greatest mysteries that is yet to be solved. Point Nemo hides a nightmare. The bloop. In 1997, a sound louder than a blue whale erupted near Point Nemo and rolled across the entire Pacific, an unnatural roar from the deep. Scientists had never heard anything like it. Theories exploded. A massive unknown sea creature. Secret military experiments. Something unnatural, hiding in the deep. They said it was just Antarctica's ancient shelves, weeping as they broke. A sound so lonely it crossed oceans to be heard. But here's the chilling part. Scientists hear a whisper that defies the ice's voice, its pattern, its power, pointing towards the mystery. And whatever made the bloop came from one of the most isolated places on Earth. Could there be something else down there? Something we don't know about? With billions of dollars in classified space technology scattered across the sea floor, with depths no human has ever explored, with crushing pressure and eternal darkness, who really knows? Now, you might be wondering, has anyone actually been to Point Nemo? The answer is terrifying. Almost no one. Until March 20, 2024, maritime experts believed that possibly no human had ever reached the exact coordinates. Sailors had passed through the general area during races such as the Volvo Ocean Race, but never at the precise spot. That changed when British explorer Chris Brown and his team boarded the expedition yacht Hans Explorer in Puerto Montt, Chile, with one goal: reach Point Nemo's exact coordinates. The journey was a nightmare. The first 2 days featured 6 to 7 meter waves that left most of the crew violently seasick. The captain plotted a course trying to avoid an impending 11-meter swell while racing against a depression forming east of New Zealand that was predicted to reach hurricane force. Think about that. They were racing against a hurricane to reach the most remote spot on Earth, knowing that if something went wrong, there was no rescue coming. After 8 days of brutal sailing through some of the most violent waters on the planet, they arrived. Chris Brown didn't just sail to the coordinates, he actually got into the water. In a wetsuit, he jumped from a zodiac rib into the freezing 9-degree ocean and became one of the first recorded humans to enter the water at Point Nemo. Adrift in radiant blue, 2,688 kilometers from anywhere. Below, 4 kilometers of abyss. Ahead, a hurricane. This is the edge of madness. So, what would happen if you somehow ended up at Point Nemo by accident? Let's paint the picture. Your plane goes down. Your ship sinks. You're suddenly floating at the most remote spot on Earth. Here's the brutal reality. Hour 1. You'd realize no help is coming. Cell phones don't work. Satellite phones would be your only hope if you had one and if it survived. Hour 2 to 3. Hypothermia begins. Water at 7 to 10 degrees starts shutting down your body. Your muscles seize up. Your thinking becomes clouded. Hour 4 to 6. Without a survival suit or raft, you're already in critical condition. Your core body temperature drops below 28 degrees Celsius. Confusion sets in. You might start hallucinating. Hour 8 to 12. Even if a rescue plane was dispatched the moment you went down, they still wouldn't reach you. The nearest airport is over 4 hours away at maximum speed, assuming perfect conditions and an immediate response. Hour 24. If you've somehow survived this long with a life raft and survival gear, you'd be watching the sunset, knowing that tomorrow looks exactly the same. Empty horizon, no ships, no planes, nothing. The psychological terror might be worse than the physical danger, the absolute certainty that you are more isolated than any human being has ever been. Point Nemo isn't just remote, it's a monument to human isolation. It's where we send our dead spacecrafts, where the ocean becomes a desert, where mysterious sounds echo from the abyss, and where being shipwrecked means almost certain death. Closer to astronauts above than to humans on land, this alien seafloor is a graveyard of our own technology. So the next time you think Earth has no mysteries left, remember Point Nemo, 2,688 kilometers from civilization, 4 kilometers above a graveyard of spacecrafts, in the middle of the deadliest waters on the planet. If you found this fascinating and terrifying, then you need to subscribe to Ocean Spirit right now. Hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications because we explore the most mind-blowing mysteries and terrifying places our world has to offer. Drop a comment below. Would you dare to visit Point Nemo? And what other mysterious places should we explore? Until next time, stay curious and stay far away from Point Nemo.